Hey everyone, this is your OG, Original Gamer, and this is another Godforge video. Today we have a huge drop of leaks for you. Simon's video posted earlier today shows us all the details we need to break down all 22 gear sets for you. So you're going to want to stick around to the end to see that in this video. This is going to be packed full of good information, so stick with me all the way through it. And without further ado, let's optimize.
Hey guys, this is Simon from Fateless.
All right, so we have Simon from Fateless put out a video. We put it on double time just so that we won't be providing commentary for it for too long. Just a few things we want to call out, and then we'll finish at the end with all of the gear sets. That's what you guys want to know. So Simon and Phillies dropped a great video this morning providing reaction. Here's what you'll see. They showed some locked areas there. Now he's showing Baba Yaga. Looks amazing. Originally she was an epic, but they just had to make her a legendary because she just looked so incredible. And we saw her in a background art poster in one of the leaks this past week as well. And so it looks like one of her abilities may call on these skulls for part of the attack. So he starts this out by describing the 5 classes. I'll drop the video we did on the 5 classes a week or so ago, but we're actually going to get the full-on definitions. Defenders, as we thought, stops you from taking defense or from taking attack damage, and mostly focuses on mitigating damage. So that's exactly what we thought it would be. He mentions attunements, but that they won't be available in alpha, only on global launch. So the defender class attunes to the plate armor, so you won't really need to worry about that just yet, but we're capturing all of those details as we go through this video, so that we can have it all summarized for you. All right, so that is the defender class. And then he does show through some of the gear. We're gathering all this up so that at the end we're going to summarize it for you and show you all 22 gear sets that we know about in Godforge at this time. So you're going to want to stick around for that. He's mentioning the plate being what is attuned to the defender class. Okay, so we don't really need to get too far into that because it's not going to be applicable for some time. And then he goes to an invoker class. We'd seen this before. These are your healers and your bad A buffers that are helping your team operate more efficiently. They have higher speed, high initiative, not really going to be hitting for damage quite so much. They're really a speed or a team booster. So he talks about invokers, and they are attuned to cloth armor. Okay, so again, not something we have to have too much concern for over the next few months, but once we hit the end of the year and the global launch, these are things that we'll be using to really max out our characters' builds. But you see here, Simon is running through a lot of his gear very quickly, hard to keep up with it, but we snagged all, and we'll show you here at the end a nice clean wrap-up of all the different gear sets and what they do. Okay, then he gets to the Brawler class. This is, as we thought, an HP plus attack multipliers. Obviously, we saw they were all high HP, but they usually have a dual multiplier. They're not Slayers, but they can solo stuff. They have both the HP and the attack. They're attuned to chainmail armor. He shows that he couldn't find any, so it hasn't really been dropping, or the drop rates haven't been distributing any of it, so it's something that we're going to look at. He goes through Hercules' kit here, and Hercules' kit has changed quite a bit, so there's some things to it that have changed. We will save that for another video when perhaps we look to create a synergy with Hercules and other champions, but it looks like his kit has definitely changed, and instead of a poison, he now has an acid. So who knows, perhaps him and Ramses could be buddies in a future video. But as we said, Simon's rolling through a lot of his gear here while we're watching the video, and he's talking about the different classes. Then he gets to Yan Wang. This is an example of a disruptor class, and it is attuned to Nightweave armor. Another one he doesn't seem like, he says he doesn't seem like it's been dropping. He hasn't seen much of it. But disruptor classes, you can see it here. These are going to be your debuffers and your disable folks in turn order and trying to keep the other team disrupted and off balance, okay? He shows Yan Wang, but then he tries to kind of get into his abilities, and this is just a copy and paste from Hercules, so it hadn't been updated with his kit yet. So he goes over to Mordred, because Mordred's kit is all updated, and we saw his skills the other day, and he puts a disable on, or a debuff on Corrupt and Confuse on his core as a disable, so that is a good example of a disruptor. Now, if they have Nightweave armor, it will give them a bonus for that attunement as well. But like I said, that's not going to be involved. We're not going to be really dealing with that yet. So we're not going to get you too far off base on that right now. We're going to stick to the basics of things and build up to it. So last but not least, we're talking about the Slayer class. Now, we know probably most about this one because our 3 starter champs are all Slayers. But these are your damage dealers. No mystery here. Highest attack, highest potential for damage output. They're attuned to the leather armor. That helps give them like a 1% increased damage for each piece that's on. So those are your classes. We did do a video, and like I said, I'll put the link for the classes video we did about a week or so ago that covers this in more detail. But that is, for the most part, all we wanted to make it through here. And now we are going to show you the gear list. Okay, so this is the Godforge gear list. I just brought it into a nice clean format here, but you see Avenger, Bear, Body, Brawler, Claw, Colossus, Defender, Disruptor, Dragon, Duelist, Falcon, Guardian, Juggernaut, Kraken, Lion, Parasite, Prism, Razor, Shrine, Soul, Spectre, and Wolf. Then you see the attunement classes as well, and you can see what you get for attuning each of them, whether it's ignoring resistance or 1% more outgoing damage, all per piece of gear. So if you have 6 pieces of gear, you have the potential obviously for 6% more damage, 6% more healing. These are how we're going to really min-max our builds later game. Okay, so going through these sets, I'm going to jump back to this spreadsheet as need. Actually, I'll just leave it up. I'll jump to it back and forth as need be. But for right now, we're going to start with the Avenger set. Okay, so they're going to go in alphabetical order just to keep things simple. Avenger set, okay, heals by plus 15% of damage inflicted when attacking, and it's a 2-piece gear set. Okay, so this is Avenger. Next, Bear. The Bear set. Defense plus 1% on each turn. Max 15 stacks. It's a 2-piece gear set. So perhaps if you have 3 of these on, you're getting 3% increase to your defense each turn, and it can stack up to 15. So that's pretty cool. That is the Bear set. This was an interesting one. Pauldrons of the Body. So the Body set increases basic ability damage by 15%. Kind of a more generic, maybe we'll see these earlier in the process of getting into the game. Who knows? Or maybe there's a way to make this, this is sort of your attack, I guess. Gives you just increased attack. But this is Body. Okay, so then the next one we have, we've got to go back over to our spreadsheet because it did not come out in the video today, but that is our Brawler set. We had seen this a week or 2 ago, and this adds 15% HP, also a 2-piece set. Okay, so that is the Brawler set. Now we have the Claw. This is crit rate plus 10%, another 2-piece, so 30% crit rate possible if you have 3 sets of 2 of the Claw. So that gives you 30%, and you start with 10%, so now you're at 40% crit rate with that. That is the Claw. Next up is back to our spreadsheet, and it is Colossus gear. So we had seen this before. Colossus gear reduces damage from strong hits by 15%. Okay, that is Colossus gear. Next up, we have Defender. So this one's pretty straightforward. Defense plus 15%, a 2-piece set. So at 3 sets of 2, you're getting 45% defense boost for those defensive classed champions. Okay, after Defender, we have Disruptor. The Disruptor set gives you accuracy plus 25, also a 2-piece set, so with 3 on, you're getting 75 accuracy added to your champion. Okay, that is Disruptor. Now the next one, we have to go back to spreadsheet, and that is the Dragon set. We had seen this one before. Resistance plus 1% on each turn, maxes at 15 stacks. A similar dynamic to what we've seen with the other animal-based sets. This one focused on giving you sort of a dragon skin and an increased resistance. Also, this is the only one that we know the attunements for. We saw those in a previous video. Attunement 1 gives you resistance plus 45, and Attunement 2 grants you a 30% chance to reflect or block or resist a debuff or disable. Very powerful to get that second attunement, it might look like. Okay, so that is Dragon. The next one is Duelist. Duelist decreases the damage received from basic ability attacks by 20%. Another 2-piece set, so 60% decreased damage from basic abilities if your champions were to have 3 sets of Duelist gear on. Okay, that is Duelist. Next, we are going back over to the spreadsheet, and we have seen Falcon. Falcon is like our speed gear. It gives us a plus 15% speed boost, so 3 sets of it is plus 45% speed. And that is Falcon. So now we are on to the rest of these. Were all released today. We had 4 we knew before, and then 18 came out today. So next up, Guardian set. This redirects 5% of damage inflicted on allies, okay? And you can have 3, so that's 15% of damage can be redirected using a Guardian, a full Guardian build, okay? So that's Guardian set. Next up, we have Juggernaut. Juggernaut reduces the damage received from attacks by 20% while under a disable. Okay, that's an interesting one. A little bit more thought involved with how you might apply this, but very interesting. If you know you're going to be under a disable, helps to protect you from taking damage while you are, and hopefully you survive, come out the other side of the disable, and you're still around to do your abilities. So that is Juggernaut. Next up, we have Kraken. Kraken increases HP by 1% on each turn with a max of 15 stacks, very similar to what we'd seen with Bear and with Dragon and things like that. So this increases your HP, making you a Kraken, right, with a max of 15 stacks. So that is Kraken. Then we have Lion. So Lion increases your critical damage by 2% on each turn and maxes to 15 stacks. Similar to what we just saw with Kraken, sort of a similar format, but this is for crit damage and doing increased damage. So you're going to want maybe your Slayers or your Brawlers to be in Lion gear. That's what this looks like. Next up, Parasite. Heals by 5% of HP when placing a debuff on the enemy. So for your disruptors, this looks like a great way to keep them alive because they aren't the tankiest members of your team. So Parasite could be a great set for some of your disruptors. And it's also a 2-piece set as well. You'll see all of them are. Next up, we have Prism. Prism, you receive 20% reduced damage from debuffs. So perhaps a mix of Parasite and Prism could be an interesting combo. We'll have to see as we test this out. But it's also a 2-piece set, and you reduce your damage from debuffs by 20%. So making those bleeds or acids less effective. Next up, we have Razor. Razor inflicts 10% increased damage to enemies under a debuff. So if you have your disruptors out there placing debuffs with the right accuracy and crit rate, and they're knocking them down, and you have somebody in Razor, they're, your Slayer is now getting a 10% damage boost anytime, so obviously with our starter champs, Razor could be a good early set for them because they all put a debuff on, and an extra 10% damage is going to be nice. but it does go 10 to 20 to 30% damage increase if you had 3 sets of Razor on. Really looks like a set might be interesting and useful early on, is Razor. Shrine. Okay, Shrine increases healing provided by 15%. So this is going to be your invokers that you want putting out even greater heals, and then you're going to want substats probably with speed as well and initiative. Okay, so that is Shrine. Then we have Soul. This increases your ultimate ability damage by 15%. So if you've got someone built with high initiative and you're built them to get their ultimate often and really make it count versus speed and getting out there and having as many turns, then this is probably going to be the kind of gear you want to put on, because you will make sure you get 15, 30, or 45% additional damage every time that ultimate. And of course, substats and initiative is going to be important, and then attack, because you want to, or HP, whatever that you're, if you have a brawler versus a slayer. But this is Soul, a very interesting gear set, I think. All right, so we have two left here. Spectre. Spectre, and we'd seen this symbol for a long time, very similar, sort of like a covert or a hidden symbol, but you reduce damage received from AoE or area attacks by 15, 30, or 45% if you have 1, 2, or 3 sets of Spectre gear on. Okay, so that is Spectre gear. And last but not least is Wolf. Wolf increases attack by 1% on each turn and a max of 15 stacks, similar to some of the other dynamics for the sets we've seen. But this is for your slayers, damage dealers. This is going to be probably an early set that we get and we're using, maybe before we can get to Razor or some other sets that we can mix and match with. All right, guys, that is it. That is all the gear sets we know of, but what a massive drop of juicy leaks. If you like this sort of breakdown, hit that button, subscribe, and drop a comment letting your OG know what you want to see. That's all for us today. Take care of yourself, and remember, play smarter.